Okay, so as you come in, just please introduce yourselves in the section, in the chat box, your name, your country, what pulled you to this session. And as we let other people in, please also just, you could add in who are you in the context of COVID-19, what has been your identity. I know many things have been changing. So as you introduce, think a little bit about that as well. Who am I in the context of COVID-19? What has been my identity? My name is Mebo Birengo. I'm from Nairobi, Kenya, and I'm excited to be part of this group. And I will introduce my team as we proceed on. So one more minute to welcome a few people, then we proceed with the introductions and move on to the sessions. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If I had a coffee for all of you, I would give you all the coffees in the world. If I had a nice cake, chocolate brownies, I would just sprinkle them to you all. But unfortunately, we are social distancing. Okay, I think we will proceed just with a few more housekeeping. This, I think, is session number, I think is the fourth session of today, or the fifth. Michelle, is that correct? Is it the fourth or the fifth session?
Fifth session.
The sixth session.
Fifth, yes, yeah. We've just come from Indonesia, and we've had two sessions in Australia and a session in New Zealand. So number five of the unconference.
Okay, so our number five, the session is titled Harvesting Strengths Developed Behind the Mask, Turning a Crisis into Opportunities. We know that we've all been affected one way or the other or inconvenienced by COVID-19 and the situations in our countries, for our homes, our communities, but we can as well find strengths in those inconveniences. And that's what this session is all about, is about harvesting the strengths from all of us in our own environments, our corners of the world, and turn that into opportunities that will make a difference. A few housekeeping, as I mentioned, kindly introduce yourselves in the chat box. The organizers have requested us to take some photos. If you're not okay with a photo, you can just, switch off your camera so that you're not in it, but it will be really, really good to actually get some photos in on your nice faces and diversity in the team. As part of the process, we just request that make sure you have at least a fabric or a mask or a scarf, or if you will use your hair, if your hair is long enough, you can use your hair, but you want something, yes, like something that can cover your face when you come to that session, but make sure you have something close by. We are recording, and I think the recording has already begun. I'd like to recognize officially all nationalities, the lands represented, the countries that are present in this workshop, all of you, your beauty and your energy, and just taking the time to sign in. I officially recognize you and your countries and nationalities. I recognize the organizers, the ABCD team, and the amazing work they've done to put together a 48-hour workshop for all of us to learn and share with one another and see the world from different lenses. I think that's my biggest motivation. We have our G-host, Stacy and Michelle. Maybe you can just wave your hands wherever you are so that people can see you. Yeah, that's Michelle and Stacy. And I'd like to welcome now the team that is with us from the Constellation. My name is Mebo, and we have Marie Lamborey. Where is Marie? Kindly share. Wave, woo! Yes, Marie is there. And I'd like to welcome Malu, who's really like our focal point person, also from the organizer's perspective. So we're together working as a team. And to start us off, I would like to welcome Malu to share a little bit about the Constellation and who we are, then we'll proceed with our session. But welcome everybody, feel at home. Over to you, Malu.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mabel. And Hi to everyone. New faces, familiar faces. That's waking up very nicely here. Well, I know for some of you it's not waking up anymore. Quickly, the context of where we are, where this session comes from. Marie, Mabel and myself, we are part of the Constellation, which is a non-governmental organization born 15 years ago out of a dream, the dream of a world where people and communities can live their best, their full potential, and take on the challenges that come on the way. So we stimulate and connect local responses around the world. And just that you know, we're not going into it, but it's good to know that we do that with a process. We call it the Community Life Competence Process. And the most important part of it is our ways of thinking. So we know, we first said we believe, but now we know from experience that people and communities have capacities to respond to their own issues, and people own the issue and the response. And that is for any issue, and that's also for COVID-19, we discovered. I just quickly click, so you have an overview. You can forget this, but so that you know that this is behind what the Constellation does. Today we'll move in, we'll zoom in on videos that we are making together with two talented people who are in this call as well, where we want to shine a light on people and communities who, yes, have proven that they have capacity to respond. But more will come about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Malu, for that introduction. We want to spend as much time as possible in sharing and reflecting and rethinking our experiences for the last 4 months. All of us have had diverse experiences that have challenged us to think differently about our situation, our worlds, or our communities. I'd like to give just a quick flow of how our session will be, our 2 hours, so that we are all participating, knowing how we are moving on. The first part, we're going to look at specific videos that have been developed behind the mask concept, and we'll look specifically to those videos, and we'll have specific questions for reflections. And that will happen in our breakout rooms, which have been very well organized by Malu and Marie. So that will happen in the breakout rooms, and we'll have a plenary feedback when we get together, some reflections, so that we can cohesively or together synthesize and harvest the key lessons, the key strengths that we've pulled out from the behind the mask videos. That will be part 1. Part 2, we'll have a small exercise. That's why I asked, please make sure you have a mask or a scarf or a fabric for those who've come in late. Or as I said, if your hair is long, you will cover your face with your hair so that we have a little exercise. And then we will go back into our breakout rooms, the same breakout rooms, to reflect now independently for our own experiences. The first part will be looking at the tools that will be shared, that's the videos, and the second part will be looking at our own experiences and lessons that we've learned and concerns we've had around COVID-19 and the situation that we've engaged in. So there's a team that has been involved in the making of the videos, and I'd like to invite, I don't know if they are here, Jessica and David. Yeah. Jessica and David here. Yeah, it will be good to hear just from them, because they've been the powerhouse behind what has happened with the As You Open Your Eyes, or the videos that we are going to use as our tools for harvesting strength. So Jessica and David, could you just please maybe share with us on the team, just, you know, talk about what is behind the mask, the making of it, how did it come about, why is it so special, and what strengths did you discover in yourselves while you were doing this? So Jessica and David, just in summary.
Hi. Yes. Hi, how are you? It's good to see you again. Hi,
See
Manu.
you.
Loli.
Hey, everybody.
Hi. Yeah, well, it's a very interesting project to us because we were actually going to film the 6th episode of the Constellation here in the, As You Open Your Eyes here in the Netherlands. And the Constellation came up with the idea to transfer the concept to the coronavirus. And of course, the situation was that we couldn't go and physically go and film. So we contacted people around the world to collaborate with us and to film themselves and the way they were facing this situation. So it was a very interesting process for us as filmmakers because we were able to interact with people in a very different way than what we are used to. Although we did miss the filming part. But it was also interesting to see how people took it in their hands and made the effort and also enjoyed it. Most of the time they really came back to us saying that they enjoyed the experience of filming themselves and collecting these ideas for us. So yeah, it's been an interesting process for us. We've learned a lot ourselves too. Yeah.
What is the one unique thing that you really identified while you were filming? Like, what is one unique experience that you could share with us?
Do you mean this one or in general?
Yes, this one. Yes, this one.
This one. I think the most important thing for us was allowing people to take the filming in their hands, maybe, and expressing what they wanted without us guiding them as much as we're used to guiding them. Because although when we interview, we give a lot of freedom and we give a lot of time, it's always us behind, you know, the questions and everything. And this time, although we sent questionnaires and everything, it was more their effort. So I think the main thing we learned was to let go a little bit and you know, to trust that it'll be okay and it'll work out because it did.
Yeah, we were not in control.
Yeah, we were not in control. We're not used to not being in control, I guess.
And normally filming is about keeping control of every detail as much as you can, but here was completely the opposite. And I'm really surprised and satisfied to see how people took it in their hands and how they are really made amazing snapshots of their daily lives in a way that we would not have been able to do because they are among their family and their friends, and you see how people react to them in ways that are very familiar and very natural and very essential and raw, which is this is the special quality of this series of Behind the Mask, that it is true, it is genuinely true. And totally done by the people. We are just tools in their hands.
Yeah,
well, thank you very much for. Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a small comment that a while ago, Marlu collected a comment from Yu Yun, the person that filmed the one in Indonesia. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was saying that they were very proud of the fact that they had learned to film their own story. So yeah, in a way it was empowering for them in that sense.
I think it's, yeah, you're right. It's very empowering for people to say we can actually do it for themselves, for ourselves. And we are seeing it's working and having the evidence. So yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for the work that you've done and the work that you continue to do for the Constellation. We have a few celebrities who are also in the videos. Maybe you'll just raise your hand. We have Loli from France. Just raise your hand wherever you are. We have Michael from Uganda. Let's wave to Michael from Uganda. Are you there? Sorry, I cannot see. Can you? Yes, yes. Good to see you, Michael. Yes, I can see you. Yay! How is Uganda?
Uganda is good currently. We are still in total lockdown.
Okay.
So the situation is still not good here. The numbers are increasing. We have cases over 774 cases now, but no death is reported as yet.
That is good.
Yeah, we're also facing now another challenge is that Lake Victoria, the waters are too much and they are taking up people and the property. So as we are battling with COVID, then we're also battling with the natural calamities of water. So the situation is not good here currently.
Thank you for bringing that up. I think we'll also have some time in the group discussions to share those kind of reflections. Thank you, Michael. We also have Noem from the Netherlands. Just raise your hand. Noem from the Netherlands. Are you there? Yes, and yeah, just lift your hand up so that people can see you. It's nice to see you. Good job. And we have Blaise from Togo as well. Is Blaise in?
Not yet, Mabel.
Okay, if he's not in, that's fine. We will proceed. But you will have a chance to see, I'm calling them celebrities of the tools that you're going to use today. So to get us moving, I'd like us to know that we are going to go into sessions. We'll have breakout rooms that Malu has coordinated. But when we get into our breakout rooms, we are giving the freedom for discussion. The whole objective of this session is to ensure that we are harvesting lessons and knowledge and experiences to sharpen each other and to, as you're saying, taking advantage of the opportunity. So the groups will be self-organized. The questions for discussions will be put in the chat so that everybody has them. And each group, please make sure you have at least or volunteer somebody to document or summarize so that when you come to plenary, we have somebody who will share what you would have been reflecting in your groups. And then, you know, you're going to break into the groups and then we'll get back, I think, together after, is it 25 minutes, Malu? Or how much time are we giving?
20 minutes. 20 minutes, and I will also give a sign in between for coming back.
Okay.
So, and
so
to each group, I will send the link to 2 videos, which are different videos for each group, so we know that all videos are being seen. And please organize in your group if one person can share the screen and show the movies from there, or if you choose to each watch on your own screen, whatever works best for the group that you are with.
And the videos are very short. They are 2 minutes to 3 minutes. They are not very long. So I think there's enough time to be able to watch the videos and then have the questions for discussions, volunteer somebody to document and somebody to give a feedback. And when we have plenary, select, you know, find a way to cheer each other up. Let's make this like a conference, like we're in the same room with each other. So lift your hands up or wave your mask when your person represents in the end. Okay, over to you, Malu. Let's go into the session.
Yeah. So I'll throw you in random breakout groups. It may be that I pick out some of you and replace. So enjoy the coming in and out. You will be about 4 or 5 people in each group. Enjoy the movies. So take time to really watch and appreciate without any further thoughts, and then enjoy the conversation. The questions for the conversation we will send to you after 10 minutes as well through the chat. And Marie just did it? Yeah? Okay, thank you, Marie. Thank you very much. There we go.
Okay, bye. See you soon. We have also missed you. Those of us who are here, we've missed you very much. So welcome back. But I think this is also like a tool to stimulate, you know, so that in the end you can watch it again when you're back at home and think a bit deeper. So I think the tool is to get us motivated and think through the questions. We want to go to plenary, and we'll begin with, maybe we'll begin with the 5th group to fill group number 1. And each group will have at least like 3 minutes to just give us a synthesized snapshot of what did you pull out from the conversations? What strengths did you see from the conversations? what would you think was the motivation behind the strengths highlighted in the videos? So group number 5, I think it's Phil's group. Phil's group. I hope you have somebody who will give us our plenary. Yes, welcome.
Hi there.
You have free. Hi, Joanne.
Yes, so I'm happy to, if I get away from the rest of the group, I'm happy to feedback. I took a few notes. We had some small technical issue, but we still had a really good conversation. So I'll try to share from everybody. So our first video we watched was from Togo. I think in Africa. I think they were speaking French. God, I sound so terribly uninformed. Sorry. But I think what really came up for a few of us was it was just such a real situation, and they just really worked with what they had in their village. It was a good solution. You could tell they'd just come up with it themselves. They really drew on their cultural skills. So they came up with a beautiful song around COVID and steps to take. And they were singing in their traditional manner, but it was like a kind of mnemonic about, you know, I think protecting from the virus, washing hands and being careful and so on, which we thought was really amazing, very imaginative and clever. They showed a lot of self-responsibility that came through quite strongly. And in fact, when the one of the main guys in the video was saying, look, it's up to them. They've got to be responsible for themselves. And I think that was a really interesting viewpoint. And it, yeah, just felt really real. And it seemed like the motivation was, they were just really motivated to look after themselves as a village and just to make it work. Michael noticed that maybe some of the solutions might not have been that friendly for elderly or disabled, but again, we weren't sure if they were in the village or if they got help when they were using the particular quite clever foot pedal hand washing sanitizing situation, which was pretty amazing. The second video was from Perron in France. I think it's quite a small town, just 2,700. And what we noticed from that is there's some really nice intergenerational learning. So we had a grandmother teaching her granddaughter how to sew. They decided to make face masks. She was also working with her mum. Her mum said, I found strengths I didn't know I had, which I thought was really sweet. She learned something new. One thing that came out really strongly that Agnes picked up on was just the bonus of having the time. Just COVID gave us time. It was a pause and we could reflect, and that really led to a growth in kind of creativity and imagination, and just how important that was for the solutions we saw in the videos and the relationships and connections we saw in the videos, and just a concern that in our normal everyday hustle bustle kind of globalized society, that time is often missing. So perhaps that was a gift of COVID for us. We also talked briefly about how do we pass on the skills to the next generation? How do we keep the skills we learnt during COVID? How do we save them? And also some thoughts around it was really great, but it was just a snapshot, and gee, we would have loved to have gone a bit deeper, even though we really enjoyed seeing the videos. I hope I have captured everything, team, at a high.
Is that okay, Phil?
Well done, Joanne.
Well done, Joanne. So let's see how you are applauding your team. How are you guys congratulating Joanne for her job? Are you doing like this? Are you clapping? Are you dancing? Anyway, thank you very much. And also, Joanne, just to appreciate that I was up at midnight to 2 a.m. for the 2 sessions you were facilitating. So to see you now here and with the same nice hairdo. Yes, exactly. So congratulations.
Can you guess what time it is here?
No.
I just had dinner. It's about 8:30 p.m.
Okay. Anyway, thank you, Group 5. Let's hear from Group 4, the group that has Jude and others. Over to you, Group 4.
Please.
Group 4.
I was just thinking, am I on mute or not?
No, you are okay.
You're fine.
Sorry, I'm only speaking. We hadn't agreed who would speak, so we just all that kind of radio silence. Well, a confession that I made a mistake and thought we were Group 5. So fortunately, we watched the same video as Joanne's group because we couldn't hear the video. So we had quite a lot of technical difficulties trying to get on Vimeo and share our screen, and none of us could hear the videos, but we watched the same videos. So now, thankfully, to Joanne's group, we know what happens in those videos. But we still managed to have a short, but I think quite good conversation. It was quite entertaining because our conversation was centered around what we could see happening. You know, and the sort of body language and the kind of feeling and so on, and of course we picked up in the second video that the you know, the kind of utilizing and intergenerational skills, and you know, we talked about new different skills being valued, and you know, coming to the forefront, and that being a kind of strength, that we're pulling out some of these kind of older skills, or skills that maybe weren't as obviously valued, and you know, how it was, you know, bringing people together to do things together. Yeah, and we had a lot of conversation about some kind of body language, and the different, also we talked about the kind of first video compared to the second video, and we were kind of guessing that there was a kind of slower, easy pace we felt in the first video, and we thought maybe this was a community, they were working together, you know, people kind of getting on with it and doing things, and you know, that kind of resilient community that's, you know, set up with some resilience. Does anyone else want to come in from my group? Yeah, go for it, Jude.
Sharing skills, like sharing your skills, is kind of, as a mum, I don't tend to share my skills with my family enough, and it's like that's really kind of highlighted it in COVID, that started sharing skills. And I love looking at people's smiles. When you've got a mask on, that kind of hides your smile, so it's to kind of show it in your eyes. That was really, I found that really interesting. And also everybody kind of seemed to want to keep everybody safe and healthy, and it kind of shows a lot of the kindness to me in both those films, and how the community in the first film was kind of there. Yeah, COVID's come in, so it's grown, isn't it? And then, yeah, I find them both really interesting.
Thank you very much, Group 4. And I know that with the technical difficulties, you've been able to bring out key things you've seen, you've watched, body language, you know, movements, the scenes themselves. I think it's helpful, even the point you're saying, like masks hide smiles, Jude. I think that is very powerful. But thank you for being patient with the technicalities. We are still being able to capture a lot, even just from the reflections that you've shared. Thank you. An applause to you. I don't know how your group is applauding to you. Dance, everything. Nice. Okay, thank you. Group 3, that's Anita's group, the group with Anita and the team. Over to you, Group 3.
Okay, well, you mentioned my name, so I guess I better feedback. We too had a few technical difficulties, more with trying to get the sound. We did manage, thank you very much, Stacey. You were a great G host or something, is that what it was called?
Yes, it is. Yes.
It worked okay. What did we see in the videos? A lot of personal resilience, I think, from individuals. We had the first gentleman we saw was a wheelchair user in a village, I can't remember where, and the contrast was somebody living in Austria, a young woman who had a flat and all the digital technology you could ask for, but they both tried in their own ways to make the best of a not great situation. And the second video was all about a refugee from the Ivory Coast in Spain who arrived just before lockdown, and what he did within, I suppose, it would be a refugee camp or something like that, through using sport. I think we did have a little bit of time for discussion, and it was about the resilience of individuals and where you get that depth of resilience from. And we were starting to talk about how these are all really positive stories, but actually there's a lot of people who just don't have that resilience. And what is the difference? And what makes somebody who has that resilience bring it forth and other people, they just haven't got any reserves for it. But unfortunately, we got kind of put back to the main room before we really got going on that discussion. But that was where we were going with that. Have I missed anything, group?
No.
We talked about the weather and how I'm cold, and they're like, you know, they're saying to me that it's going to be 30 degrees this week, and I was like, but I'm freezing and I'm wearing scarves and it's like 19. So that was a whole other point of conversation where we connected great.
Yeah, and as I said, in Scotland, at 19 degrees, everybody's at the beach with their tops off. It's all about perspective.
Exactly.
I think what is interesting is Anita, on the second video, assumed that the young lad was a refugee, but it actually said in there that he'd got delayed returning because of the lockdown, etc. And I don't know whether it was some sort of sporting exchange, this, that and the other. But he obviously was used to seeing his family, this, that and the other, and then suddenly he's stuck in a strange country with no idea how long it's going to take him to get back. But still, beyond that, he continued to try and do some the community that he'd actually been put into, relevant of whether he wanted or not, which again showed great personal strength on his part in relation to a community that he wasn't necessarily part of.
And also, just to add to that, the fact that it wasn't just about motivating himself, he was motivating other people as well. And for him, one of the things that was really important was just to keep physically fit, because a lot of people, I think it's really interesting how so many people have suddenly become very physically fit, but they were enclosed, so they couldn't necessarily go elsewhere. Like in the UK, you can go out for a walk. In fact, more people have decided they must go out and walk every day and cycle and things, whereas they were very much enclosed. But he was really clear that that's what he wanted to do.
Thank you for that reflection, Group 3. Looking at the issue of resilience, you're bringing out really deeper issues of finding strength in our diversity, whether it's a perspective or just the way we see things. But that's a good highlight on that question, Group 3. Thank you. Group 2, the group with Lisa and Loli, over to you.
Hi, so we saw two videos. One was in Togo, which one of the other groups already spoke about, and the other one was, I assume, in Paris, in the outskirts of Paris. So in the French video, we saw a neighborhood getting together on their balconies and making music. And for us, what we saw in that was like the importance of using creative arts for people to come together. Perhaps something that we take for granted sometimes a bit too much, while we all consume a lot of art and media and cultural production, if you will. We sometimes underestimate the importance, not only individually, but also to bring people together. So that was one aspect that we found in that. And in the Togo video, so the Togo video is about both physical and social innovation, if you will. They're different kinds of hand washing stations were displayed. It was shown that people use music and create songs for awareness, etc., etc. So the general sense in our group was that the Togo video displayed a lot of resilience and showed how people are able to do things themselves and have innovation at a personal level. And if I can just bring that slightly in different terms, how we in our context sometimes discuss about this is this difference between individual and system resilience, if you will. And that there seems to be sometimes an opposed relation, if you will, that in places where the system, where the system is more resilient and takes better care of people, individual people's resilience sometimes reduces. Whereas in systems where at system level, people are less protected, very often that contributes to people perhaps maintaining more of adaptive capacity and resilience at the personal level. Yeah, so we had an interesting discussion about that.
Thank you. Group 2. Let's hear from Group 1, group with Levi and others.
that was our group. So we saw first video was about the transgender community in Indonesia and how they were taking action in response to COVID as a community. And the second video was one in France, where we saw me and Loli making masks. So in the first video, we found that really the drive to action came from a feeling of helplessness, and also out of a feeling of wanting to do something for the wider community and for each other. So we saw how they decided to distribute food, to make masks and give them out, and do that together as a community. So really building upon each other and letting the individuals in the community bring out their strengths and their skills. And we also found in the first community, which is so that as a minority community, they used this opportunity to show that they could make a difference for the wider community. So that was really interesting. And then we also, in the second video, we also saw how, Loli and I, we also were motivated by a will to help, basically, to help reduce the transmission. And also another motivation was that we had the resources. So we saw that in Perron there was a whole village from the municipality. The opportunity was given to help, so resources were available, and it was also a will to learn new skills. Maybe that motivated us as well, I think, in both videos. Yeah.
Any other comment from anybody from your group? Otherwise, thank you. If there's no one, thank you, but definitely very good reflections as well. I think a lot has come out from just watching a video and finding stimulation to think differently and see what strengths am I seeing from this video, what is provoking me to maybe even think differently when after this session is over. And I think the links will be shared, they will be there. It will be enriching if you continue to look at it again and reflect a bit deeper, because I know most of us have said we didn't have enough time, but I think as a stimulant, it helps us to realize that there's been new opportunities or strengths, even as people have been struggling or suffering, or the loss we've had across the world of our friends, neighbors, family. But there is goodness that is emerging, and your reflections are actually highlighting all those. We want to switch gears very quickly. I think we've heard from all groups. Please take your mask or your scarf or your hair or something. We need everybody to have a mask or something to cover your face. And I'll count 3 seconds or maybe 5 seconds for us to have it on our faces, so that Malu can take a photo as well. And then we will unveil the mask. And when we unveil the mask, I'd like you to do something that really signifies you, either excitement or joy or a contemplation or a memory that brings out who you are. So we'll have 5 seconds with our masks on, and then we will either smile or woo, or just be angry, whatever it is that signifies you. Okay, Malu, are we ready? Malu? Malu, are we ready? Did we lose Malu? Okay. Oh, I see you now. 5 seconds so that we take a photo. 5, 4, 3, 2, unveil the mask. Are we good, Malu?
I don't know if it's good, but we're good. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for participating. You guys are just so much fun. we're going to go to the second part of our discussion. We'll go back into our breakout rooms. And this time we are going to focus on ourselves. The first part, we've looked at the videos, really good energy has come out of that. But now I want to look at, what have been my pressing worries and concerns in the COVID-19 era. When you think of yourself the last 4 months, what strengths have I seen in myself or my community during this time? And what has been my greatest lesson on how to live together? The questions are going to be posted on the chat by Marie, but I'd like to request that we go immediately into our breakout rooms. It will be the same rooms as before. Over to you, Malu.
Yeah, I am sharing my screen with the questions so that you have a look at them already. And then we will also share them again
the chat.
Through not the chat, but through the broadcast. Yeah. And you will go in the same rooms, and those who joined just a little bit later, I will assign you. So you can continue the conversation that was too short before. Again, for 20 minutes, Mabel?
Yeah, 20 minutes.
Yeah, and we will give you signs. Enjoy.
Thank you, bye. Is everybody back? Yes. I was telling Malu that this is the beauty of Zoom. If it was a normal conference, we would be calling groups back. Group 2, group 5, we want plenary, group 3. But now everybody is here. So thanks, Malu, for the photos. That's us with the mask on and without the mask. Ah. Thank you, Malu. That's awesome. We'll quickly go into our plenary, get some feedback, and we'll request, because of the short time that we have, if each group you could tell us your top 2 reflections, the top 2 priorities that you feel this must be shared, this must be heard. Only those 2 share with us, and we'll proceed. So we'll start from group 1. This time we'll begin from group 1 to group 5. So group 1, over to you, and thank you for coming back. Group 1, that's the group with Levi and
Levi, Mohammed, Noemi, and Marijo.
Yeah.
Welcome, Marijo.
So we had the discussion about, we shared our worries and our concerns, and also the strengths that we found. I think the main worries we had were on the wider impact of the virus, mainly on like the economic and social impact, and also on a family level, like the virus spreading to our community. Those were worries that we had. And then strengths we found within our communities and in ourselves were our abilities to quickly adapt to the new situation and show new ways of caring for others.
Thank you. Ability to, what did you say? Ability to?
To adapt, quickly adapt to the new situation.
Okay.
And come up with new ways, to communicate and connect.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's hear from another group. And thank you, Noem. By the way, if you don't know Noem, she's Malu's daughter, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that's Malu's daughter. So thank you for presenting your mom very well. Let's hear from group 2. Group 2.
That was the 2, I think, wasn't it? I think we were in 2.
Yes.
Yes. We were still talking in our group. I think the main topic was how to accept all the differences as well, the different perspectives we're in. And what I get from it is how important it is to take time and to listen to each other, to know what we're all from different, we all have our own concerns. So it's great to listen to each other. That's actually my essential I took from it. Maybe someone wants to add something from my group, wonder. But just to get something out of the group.
Yeah, I think what I took from it is also that we have to pay attention and be very mindful towards others in this moment. We were commenting on how, for example, here in the Netherlands, it's so confusing because we get so much different information.
I think they're frozen. Okay, let's.
Is it frozen?
No, you're back now. You're back. You can proceed.
I don't know what you heard though. No, basically it's just to be mindful with the people that are around you, because they can have different way of interpreting the situation, and it's very important to keep that channel open, because misunderstandings can arise.
Okay, thank you for those reflections. Let's hear from group 3.
I could take one for the team. Let's go,
nice
team.
One. Thanks, Stacey.
Yeah, you're welcome. So we did discuss, the most important things and the pressing concerns, and not surprising, the most pressing concerns were around family. Was family okay? Were they going to be okay? And how were we going to care for them appropriately? That was a very strong theme. In terms of the strengths, there was a lot around creativity and around knowing that you have the strength to go on, and that you have that reserve, and you know it, but actually in practice when you needed to call upon it, it was actually there and you could battle through. And how we all need a holiday. So if anybody wants to sponsor me, I'm willing to take a holiday on your behalf.
Thank you very much. Creativity, strength to go on. We've taken time to listen. We are paying more attention. We've been more mindful. Sort of like having a post-holiday that has all sorts of things in. You just need to figure out what it is you pull out from it. Thank you for those reflections. Let's hear from group 4. Group 4.
It's Anjut, Nissa, Roizen.
All right. Well, similar to other groups, we had our own stories about our concerns, but what was interesting was the similarities. Even though the 4 of us in that group, we've obviously we don't know each other, but when we started talking, the similarities that we had with the concerns, it was quite interesting to listen. I think in terms of the strengths, I think the key thing that came out was our resilience. So that when we are in a situation of difficulty or concern, how we pull together and how we use the things around us. So we mentioned the local economy, how people can use the things that's actually in their neighborhood, and how we can utilize these things more often. And maybe it's something that, it's little things that we've forgotten about, but it was a reminder for us that how we can use things in our own neighborhoods in a way actually to create a better life for ourselves.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anyone else wants to add to that.
Thank you. That's very powerful reflection. I was telling one group that I was in that in Kenya, when the lockdowns began, everybody was forced to be at home, especially those who live in the cities. Personally, I've been locked out of Nairobi for 4 months. I've not been in my apartment I can't go yet until July. But those who've been locked down, there's been a sense of family connections. There's been a sense of real living and looking at the strength of your children, knowing your neighbors better. People who didn't talk to each other, they found time to realize, oh, I didn't know your child really plays the piano. Oh, I didn't know you are good at this. So I think it's enabled a lot of deeper connections that are real and sustained. I don't think it can be forged. It's not fake. It's not a theory. It's real living, and people have had that opportunity to transform their lives in a different way. And hopefully, hopefully, it continues for a long time. That is not just because of the lockdowns, but that this is how life should be in the long run, how we need to live as human beings with one another, that living and listening and appreciating and challenging one another. And as you're saying, working from being pulled together by our concerns pulling us to action. So that was a very good point from that group 4. Thank you, group 4. Let's hear from the last group, group 5. Group 5. That's with Phil and the team.
Michael, go for it.
Go, Michael. Oh, Michael, power to you.
Yes, I'm still here. I'm still strong.
Over to you, Michael.
Yeah, I think one of, from the group, we are 5 ourselves, quite a number of things that came out. But even one of the last line that we picked was that
I think he has a problem with the connection. Anybody else from that group to pick up? Anybody, any volunteer from group 5?
You're unmuted, off you go.
Go, Phil.
Okay. He was about to say what he was talking about, Michael was talking about, and really impressed me was the practicalities of the challenges that he was facing, you know, in being able to work with the people he was. You are muted.
No, we can hear you.
Oh, you're fine. We hear you.
Okay?
Yes.
Sorry. So, I'm not sure, but what Michael spoke very powerfully of the practical problems that he was dealing with in order to do his work, to live his life, just getting around and making progress in the society that he was living in. And that was really interesting in that you heard, I mean, we are all faced with this huge range of challenges, and I feel I'm in a very comfortable position where I live. My challenges are really very straightforward, and you listen to Michael, his challenges are very, very different, but we are all challenged in some way. And the other thread that I think we listened to were the tensions that perhaps these different situations where this diversity of the problem and the diversity of people were ultimately going to create tensions, and perhaps this was something to worry about in the future. Whether that unfolds, I don't know. And perhaps the last point was mine, that it just struck me. This is you listen to all of the diverse inputs, and this is a horribly complicated, diverse problem, and the problem keeps on changing, and it's very difficult to put your finger on, you know, like you put your hand in one place and you solve that bit of the problem, and then whoops, another bit pops up somewhere else. And that applies to all of us all around the world, I think. But it's that diversity and complexity is, for me, a worry.
Thank you thank you for that, Phil. Just for jumping in as well. A few questions for reflection, I think, which could happen even after we finish this session, because I think the discussion around harvesting our strengths and exploring concerns that we've had or worries continues even after this session as we are still dealing with the pandemic. A few questions raised. How can we harness the kindness, willingness to help, volunteer, community feeling post-COVID? The other question that was raised was, why does it take a crisis to bring us together? That came also in from group 5. But those, I think, are really critical questions to ponder on with our teams. It doesn't have to be now, but with your teams or your families, your organization, we have to push those around us in the society to think further and deeper about what's going on if we want to make a big difference as well. Thank you for all these reflections and your time and your experiences. They are amazingly powerful. And even as we wrap up this session, I'd like to open up a question and I'll ask Marie to just put up what we've been capturing so far, but it will be shared to you as well. But one question as we try to wrap up our session, what do you think, what has been your, what has been the key takeaway for you as you've been engaging in the conversations in the group? What would you say is your aha moment that somebody said something that really provoked you and you are taking away with you from this session? So we'll just open up for the first 2 people who will raise their hands as a reflection from this conversation. So we will, Malu, yes, Terry is the first one to raise their hand. Over to you, Terry. Who is the second one?
So for me, it isn't, sorry.
Okay, so go on, Terry, sorry.
So for me, it isn't necessarily from the conversation. It's just the fact that we have all of these people here together from all over the world discussing this particular situation. We are all in it together. And it's really easy to get concerned about what's happening in your own family, in your own small bubble, in your own country. But actually, this is happening all around the world. And there's proof of it just in this conversation that we're having here. We need to think globally, not just small. And that's not just about now, that's about our future together.
Right, yeah, totally agreed. Somebody else? Anybody else who would like to? Yes, Russell? I'm sorry, Russell.
Roisin, it's okay.
Roisin,
I don't even pronounce it well myself, actually. So it's something that Anne said that made, I think, and thinking just about actually really trusting people to actually have, and communities to have, you know, sensible and kind of good solutions, you know, themselves. And we were talking about the concern about our work and, you know, in community development and so on. And Anne was concerned with the rise of kind of food banks and things like that over COVID. And it was the same in Scotland, that, you know, people would almost become kind of reliant on, you know, being given, you know, the kind of rich giving to the poor type idea, which is, you know, quite cringy. And but actually people were saying, no, we don't want, you know, we don't want food, we want seedlings, we want to grow food, we want to look at, you know, food security. And that's where, you know, we were kind of kickstarting that discussion about localism. People are really, you know, we can really trust people and to communities to be resilient and to come up with the right solutions themselves.
Thank you. Last person, we can give a chance to one more person. Yes, Mohammed.
Yeah, thank you. I think the commonality, looking at the videos and seeing how people wanted to help their local communities there and seeing that same motivation and that same inspiration that happened in the local area where I live. So to see that commonality, and also in the second exercise to see the commonalities around the worries, the concerns that we have, the social and economic, the fear, the long-term concerns we have, and it's all those commonalities that we're all sharing. And of course the part of the kindness, because right at the start, I think wherever we were, we saw this immense kindness from everybody who was around us, from no matter what their backgrounds, no matter what their walk of life. And be great to harness that and to develop that further. Because as we go into other things and as other things develop, we start to see a little bit of that kind of starting to recede.
Thank you for that reflection. Definitely, there is a lot that we can continue to share and discuss, but unfortunately, I have to end it. We need to finish at least a few minutes before so that those who are going to other sessions can join in. But Marie, I wondered if in just one moment you could just share your screen for people to have a snapshot of what we've been able to capture. These will be shared to Stacy. I think we'll be able to send all these to our G-host and those who are organizing the events, and it will be shared to your emails. Right, Stacy?
Yes, it can be.
Yeah, and all the other informations as links to the As You Open Your Eyes, the links to the constellation, the links to some of the other work that Jessica and David have done will all be shared in the links for you to continue expanding this discussion on how do we capture our own strength, how do we see strength in the midst of a crisis. Looking at a crisis as an opportunity to make better our communities. How do we challenge our families, our friends, to think deeper, to see beyond the eyes, to unveil the masks and see the strength that exists in everyone. So from us all, thank you very much. Malu, do you have anything to say? Or Marie, anybody wants to say something? Otherwise, we'll say goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Take care. And
thanks. Take care. Bye bye. Enjoy your other sessions. Have a good day. Keep in touch. Keep smiling. Bye.
Take care, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Stay
Nice
safe.
to meet you all.
Thank you. Nice to meet you too.
Thank you, Mabel. Bye.
Bye.